In this video, we're going to talk about the advantages and the disadvantages of burying the beater. So for those of you who don't know what burying the beater means, it's basically like this. And then not burying the beater would look like this. So I know some of us here bury the beater all the time and some of us don't. Primarily, I like to play the drum like that if possible. I find it leaves a little bit more of an open sound, but then there are times where I'm doing like a song that's 4 on the floor or something that just requires a really, really heavy and a bass drum sound with tons and tons of attack. And so in that instance, I'll just bury that beater right into the head. Dave, I know you have some interesting takes on this.
Yeah, I do. I pretty much always bury the beater. Mainly, like I said in the previous video on heels up drumming, it's because I play heels up. And because I need to have balance all the time, I have to have my feet planted on the pedals. And when you're playing heels up, that means that you're pretty much always pressing them. So when you're playing and you're actually playing along with heels up, you're going to notice that once you're done kicking, your foot's just going to naturally stay there. I totally understand what you're talking about when it comes to the resonance of the bass drum, and you do get a better sound when you're playing softer music or music like that just has more, I guess you can say, creativity when it comes to the bass drum work. You have more options that way. However, the way I play and just the way that I've developed my skill, I always bury the beater. And from what I have experienced with my live shows, and so far with recording the kind of music that I do, it hasn't really become an issue.
So, Sean, what about you?
I'm actually in the same boat as Dave. I feel that the ability to not bury the beater is very, very valuable. It's like you don't want to bury the beater in music that has a little bit more space, where there's maybe a little bit more room for that bass drum tone. And if you have a nice bass drum, like we all do, sometimes it's nice to hear it, but generally it's not going to be an issue, and it's not really going to be a big thing unless just certain situations, really.
So don't let it get you hung up on it.
Yeah, well, see, here's the thing. I think it's really important for you guys to, yes, there are times where it's going to feel best to bury the beater, but then I feel that there are times that you're not going to want to, or if you get into a studio situation where like, don't bury the beater, we want to hear the kick drum resonate. And I would just hate for someone to be in that situation and never have practiced that. So if you're asking my opinion, I'd say, and Sean, I guess, gave the same kind of opinion, is learn both. Dave, none of your musical situations have really required it to date. But for me, it's like this. Do I play the snare drum like this? I don't know how that sounds. It looks really ridiculous, and it's definitely not natural, but normally we don't play the drums like that. So my understanding, for me, is like, why would I ever play the bass drum like that? Unless I was looking for that really choked sound on the snare drum. That's the only reason I would use that, or I was looking for that sound in the bass drum. So, I mean, I totally understand why you guys play and you bury the beater, but I'd still really encourage you guys to practice both. And it's just about figuring out what works best for you and what's required of you in your musical situations. So I hope that makes sense. We'll see you guys in the next video.